Welcome to the number one friendship podcast in the country. I'm Matt Ritter.
I'm Aaron Karo.
Guys, go to audible.com/the buddy system to check out our audio original. By the way, thank you so much for all the reviews. We're crushing it. And go to manoftheyearpodcast.com to get our merchandise.
Matt, do you ever get like people assume because we work in the industry that you're like in charge of everybody?
You mean like other people in town that I can call? Is that what you're asking? Like,
No, like my buddy went to a stand-up show last night. A big, it's my buddy Rob in Denver, a big comedian, like a theater, arena type thing. I'm not gonna say. And he's just like, it was terrible. He was terrible. He's like, I brought my son, and
I'm looking it up right now. I'm looking up.
You can look it up, just don't say. And he's just like, it was terrible. And I'm like, he was sort of like, I'm like, because I'm a comedian. Are you telling me that this comedy show wasn't good? Like, what do you want me to do? Like, do I make a call? Like, wow. That is just viewing comedy in Denver last night.
Was it last night?
Yeah. I mean, just let it be. Let it be.
Oh boy. Is it a TikTok person?
No, this is old school.
Okay.
But right, was funny. I'm like,
you have to tell me offline. Yes, I know.
Like, do you want me to like make a phone call? Like, what am I gonna do about this?
Do better. Yeah, you have to text this person. Do better. Be better. Be best.
I always ask, like, who was the opener? I'm always curious who the opener is on these giant, shows. Anyway, I just thought that you'd appreciate it as a comedian. I'm like, okay, like, I'm sorry, we'll get a bad experience. What was that?
Was there one? Was there an opener sometimes?
It was some mid-level guy. But I just thought you'd appreciate that.
Yes. No, I've definitely had that many a time. So I thought we could do a bit of a darker turn this week, I guess you could say. I had a friend whose dad passed suddenly. And it reminded me, it was a very similar situation to my dad. His dad passed literally right when he got off the plane to see him, like 20 minutes after he got off the plane.
So
and it was, so he did see him. He like literally died in his arms. So, awful situation. And I didn't even know about it until 3 weeks later, just because it was over the holidays, traveling, whatever. So I felt awful. I called him and, I could tell he was going through all of the emotions, but one of them that he was clearly raw about like certain friend, not me, but he was just alluding to the fact that he was raw about the way that certain friends were not showing up for him. So I thought we could get into this because I don't think we talked about this in years, how to show up for a grieving friend.
Yeah. It's I wish it was a topic that we didn't have experience with.
Yeah. And I'll just back up. Like I missed seeing my dad by like 5 minutes when I flew to New York over the summer, almost 5 years ago now. It's crazy. So, my friend Dean, RIP to his dad, I told him, I said, if anybody, knows that specific feeling, it's me. And I just said, like I have, I have some thoughts if you ever want to, talk. I've been there.
Yeah.
But my number one best practice, I wanted to just go through some best practices and we can talk about whether you agree or disagree. But my number one is say something. Don't try to wait to find the right thing. Don't let awkwardness get in the way because waiting feels like indifference to that person.
I think people understand that. And I by the way, it was a different situation. This was a more of a marital situation, but I was giving someone advice on a similar situation. Can you talk about like, people are like, well, they know they should say something, but like, what? I don't want to say the wrong thing. I can't fix this.
Right. I think there's a part of it is that they feel that a platitude isn't good enough. Right. I think that's what drives it. It's either a platitude isn't good enough, or I really need to say the right thing in this moment. And so I have to like craft my words. Right. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to offend. But again, I just want to emphasize not saying something is the worst thing you can do. It's worse than saying something awkward. It's very unlikely you're going to say the wrong thing, you know? And even if you do, they're going to know when things settle down that you just didn't have the right words in the moment. I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even think of what the wrong thing
Well, the
would
wrong
be.
words would be like, well, I'm glad he's dead.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. Yeah. Why don't you catch the earlier flight, you cheap bastard?
Yeah,
I mean, no.
yeah. Or it's like, I know you didn't really care that much about him, so
Yeah.
it's not something like that. There are bad things to say. So I think the cliches are the right way. And, there's just there's different simple ones. You can just say, I'm here for you. I'm thinking about you. No need to respond, I think, is a really good one. Because a lot of the people who are struggling with what to say are worried that this person's going to need them and they're not able to give them the support. So there's a little bit of, hey, you don't have to respond. I think you don't have to respond is good if you are afraid and you don't think you have the words in the moment. I think you can do that. What do you think about that?
To say no need to respond.
Yeah.
It's sort of
because they're also like putting a burden. Sometimes people think they're putting a burden on that person to call them back.
Yeah, I think you can't go wrong.
Yeah.
I think you probably don't need, I think it's implied you don't need to respond.
Yeah.
I like thinking about you. You can't go wrong with thinking about you. Let's talk about, you and I have discussed one thing, it's okay if you say this, but we prefer if you don't, is to say, let me know if you need anything.
It's the most common thing that people say, and it's not the best one. It's not the worst one. I want to get back up, right? Because I think we did an episode about that, and we are like, don't say that. It's fine. It's fine to say that. It's the most common thing that people say when somebody's grieving. Let me know if you need anything, right? And instead, say, I'm bringing dinner Thursday, or I will walk your dog Saturday, or I will take your kids to school. So I actually had a friend whose, kid had to be rushed to the ER, and I was like, hey, can I come pick up your kids for a play date tonight?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be like, you don't have to have the answers, but I think if you know this person and you know one thing you can take something off their plate, it's better than let me know if you need anything.
And just to clarify, when you say that, you're putting the onus on the other person to both come up with something that they need and also ask you for it.
Yeah. But I don't want to make people feel bad about the thing that they said the most. It's a big
100%. I think,
like, hey, by the way, the thing you've been saying your whole life sucks.
Right. And I think that if it's I would actually think if it's a tight connection, a very tight connection, actually that makes more sense to ask that, because you literally if it's a secondary, I feel like I kind of miss an opportunity to do this. It's so funny that not funny, but that you brought this up. There's a girl in my building who I'm friendly with, just like see her at the gym.
Yeah.
We're on Instagram friends. She posted that her father passed away. And I was going to take our advice, and I was just going to message her, hey, and she was home and wherever she lives. I said, I was going to do you want me to go into your apartment and send you stuff if you're not coming back for a while? And then I was like, oh, we're not I've never seen her.
Let me know if you need anything.
Yeah, no, I just sent, I think I just hearted. I mean, we're really not. No, I've never seen her outside the gym, but
no, you're right. Look, the doing stuff is definitely more for the inner circle for sure. But I mean, it's a nice thing to do. And my buddy Dean, by the way, was like, please do not send me flowers.
Yeah.
I was like, I got to send something in the house. So he said, don't send flowers. So now I'm like, all right, I'll send him, it's my trainer. So I'll send him more steroids or something,
I think that also the key here is that you're showing up, right?
Yeah.
In the buddy system or Audible original, the key to making a friend is to be the friend, and the key to being a good friend is to show up.
Yeah.
And it's really just your presence, metaphysical or physical, that they know you're there for them. Like,
Absolutely.
you're not gonna, especially for grief, you're not gonna solve anything. It's unsolvable.
Absolutely.
Even for anything,
And
even for a
look, our
divorce.
instinct, look, our instinct is to fix, all of us, right? As a
Yeah.
friend. And relationships too, our instinct is to try to fix.
Yeah.
On that note, part of it is knowing that person, tone, right? I want to talk about best practices, tone.
Mm.
Let them dictate tone, right? So you may have a friend who's jokey, and that's how they interact, and they may stick with that through the grief, right? Like my sister and I at my dad's funeral, uh, we were talking about how we should have set him up with some of her friends. Like, we were like laughing in the front row, and that's us. But some people may even be jokey in their personality, and when the grief hits them, they don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to let them dictate, how to don't. I think the default should be, let's just play soft and kind until they indicate, like, okay, we can be the way we are.
Did we discuss the Conan thing already on the pod?
That was great. Yeah, we discussed it a couple of months ago, I think.
Oh yeah. Conan, it was Will Arnett sharing Conan and his text with Conan after Conan's dad passed away, and it was just a lot of jokes.
Yeah, it was truly incredible. Should we get into a listener question early, just because it hits on, I think, one of my best practices for grieving friends?
Yes, I actually had one more question about your
Okay.
personal experience. Was your experience different or charged in any way because your folks were not together anymore?
No, I mean, I think it would be nice to. I think it's okay. So it's like you feel a little like, uh, that other person, like my mom, is like not in the same level of grieving that we're doing
Mm.
because they're not together. But she was grieving too. But I think it changes the levels. By the way, I had a good cry this morning. I think partly because I knew we were doing this episode, partly because my wife's been away and I've been home with the two boys. And so I told my son that I had a dad and I missed him, and
Yeah.
like whatever, started crying, and he was like, "Why don't you lay down and wait for him?"
Mm.
Yeah. Tough one. Toughie. Okay, let's do listener question before I start crying.
Okay. We gotta move quick. All right.
Pull it together.
We'll be right back. His eyes are welling up, guys, and you can
Yeah.
see it on YouTube. Is that a bad plug? We'll be right back with a listener question. Okay, guys, this is asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question or ethical dilemma, send it to us on Instagram at Man of the Year Podcast, and we'll answer it on the show. Matt, take it away.
Hey, Matt and Karo. My mom passed a while back, but I've just been thinking about why I'm a little upset with one of my friends. When she passed, he did all the right things, said all the right things for a short time, but then after that, he never asked me about it again. Do I have a right to be mad about this?
Man, this is such a good question because we, unfortunately, as I don't even know if we talked about it, two of our best friends' moms passed away 2025. And I have asked myself, I've been like, oh, I was there, flew in for the funerals,
Yeah.
followed up. Now it's 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. What do I say? Do I say? What's the protocol here? Do I want to bring it up? I feel bad I haven't? So yeah, well, let me hear the best practice or your response.
Well, I want to just say that grief has this long shelf life. I think we talked about it a long time ago, is that, we only let people be out of sorts for so long, right? We'd only accept a society, right? As a society, we only accept a certain amount of, you can be out of sorts for a certain amount of time, right? And then we're all just like, you got to move on, right? For whatever, you have responsibilities, you got family, just people don't want to be talking about this for a long time, right? So on some levels, unfortunately, a lot of people have to just carry the grief alone continuously after the music stops, after whatever, or after the music turns back on. And so
Mhm.
that breeds resentment because they feel like, I feel like, oh, I can't bring up my dad anymore. Like it's ancient history, right? And then friends, not conversely, but also kind of maybe on the same track, friends are like, oh, he probably doesn't want to talk about that anymore.
Mm.
I think that's what most people think, like, oh, I don't want to bring this up anymore, right? Why would I want to open an old wound? Do you think that's what people are thinking? That's what I'm curious about.
If if I'm going to be frank, I think people move on with their lives.
Yeah.
Your job as the friend to a grieving friend,
Yeah.
is triage. This
Yeah.
person is going through it. It's an emergency. We're there. What do you need? And then, okay, they're okay. And maybe they have a wife or a partner, and the emergency is over. And now I need to, and then you move on.
Yeah. I think the problem is we kind of have the setup wrong for how we deal with grieving people. The setup says you just hit them with everybody sends flowers, everybody's there for them for a week, and then you're allowed to disappear and never talk about it again.
Mm.
And that's actually not, how people grieve, right?
Yeah.
Grief comes in waves. I just told you I cried this morning. It's been 5 years. There are certain
Mhm.
triggers. So, to me, it's almost like this listener hit me with like a wish fulfillment question that I don't have the answer to, which is that I always want to talk about, my dad. Like I'm always happy to, because it makes me feel like we're still connected. And I do think a lot of people who are grieving still want that. They still want to be able to talk about their parent that they're like, or sibling or whoever, because it makes them feel like they're still there in some way. But it also makes them feel seen, right? It's like, if you're not asking me about like our friends, right? Their moms just died this year. That's not a long time. I can tell you that right now. That's very far from being okay. You're not going to be okay the first year after you lose a parent. I mean, you're never going to be the same again, but you're not going to be okay in the first year. Absolutely not. So I definitely think, hey, you may think, oh, it's been 9 months since their parent died. I don't want to bring it up. I definitely think most of the time, like, they would love to still be able to converse about it. But I think, part of it is like, you do want to let them dictate that, right? I noticed of these two friends, one of them, it seemed to me, didn't want to talk about it like at our Man of the Year dinner at all.
Mm. Okay.
multiple people
So,
kind of multiple people kind of broached it softly, and it was
mm,
clear they didn't want to talk about it, so we moved on. But I think
mm.
that's the way to do it. It's like, broach it softly. How are you? It's like, how are you doing? I think it's obvious what we're talking about.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask you with practical advice. At some point, it's not obvious what you're saying.
Well, I
how
think
how
it's
are you?
how you're holding up.
Right. You know, 9 months, a year later. I mean, I think you got to
Yeah.
be a little more specific, maybe.
Yeah. No, for sure. And that's hard. That's close
Yeah.
friend stuff, really, to be
Yeah.
able to
Yeah. Yeah.
navigate that, right? And this listener's asking, like, hey, one of my best friends did the thing for the first 3 weeks and then never asked me again about my mom. I think that's just part of society's like protocols. I honestly, because I've been there, I don't think they did anything wrong. And I hate to say like, oh, it's not on you to communicate. You want to talk about but if you talk about it and they, are there for you, that's good. Like you can talk about it. You should feel free to talk about it in front of your friends. And
Yeah.
if they
That's really.
and if they make it awkward and it's like, that's not a good friend if they won't let you, you know, have a conversation. But again, there is a line, right? The flip side is like, yeah, you do have to adhere to society's rules. You can't just perpetually talk about, you know, your deceased parent all the time when you're hanging out with people.
Well, I also think in this case, the friend, not the grieving friend, the other friend, probably thinks he doesn't want to talk about it anymore. He seems better. He seems
Right.
okay.
Right.
I don't think if the grieving friend brought up their deceased parent, the guy would be like, let's not talk about it anymore.
Totally. And friends aren't mind readers, and people are not conditioned to go after your parent passed after 6 months to go, hey, let me bring this up and see how you're doing,
Right.
for all the reasons I said, of like, they don't want to like rub salt in a wound. because you seem fine. If you seem okay, they don't want to set you into a place. They don't want to feel like, oh man, now I'm like this person's crying because why did I ask that? I'm such a jerk. Why did I do that?
So I want to go back to the crying thing for a second, but I have maybe one tip slash hack that I have used in the situation with our friends. Because you're like, how do I bring it up? How do I broach
Yeah.
it? It's weird, coming
Yeah.
nowhere. I ask how the living parent is.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Then
That's
it's really implied what's going on. It's not so direct.
Right. But again, can you be mad at somebody for that? Yeah, you can be, but did they do anything wrong? It's like you want to feel seen, you want to, and you're dealing with something that's hard. And, in those moments, you're kind of like out of sorts and your relationships get out of sorts. And, look, do you, in an ideal world, or your buddies always knowing when to ask you the right thing? Sure. But most people fail the grief test, like I'm very, I don't know, forgiving about that. Cause now with, a little bit of hindsight, I can see when I look at it, I'm like, man, even I like can fail it with my friends too. Like knowing all the best practices, it's very hard to go, hey, I'm going to be the best, friend to these people who are grieving.
I mean, this is a rare neither person's wrong situation. Like it's not on the grieving friend shouldn't be on them to say, hey, I need more help. And it shouldn't be on the other guy to guess that you need more help. So I think everyone's doing their best.
Yeah. And I think women are way better at this. I feel like they're always like, you weren't there when I needed you.
Yeah. Well, we're like, just let me know and I'll be there.
Like, I don't think men, I just don't think we said that to each other. Right. Like you weren't there when I needed you. Like, so I think you can say, hey, I really, could have used some more support. I know you didn't mean to.
No, I wouldn't even wait. I'm sorry. Is this currently happening? This is like a year ago and he's mad about it.
I think you said a year ago.
Oh, I don't know. What is that going to?
I know. I think you just have to, honestly, I think you just got to let it go and, accept that, most people fail this. But you could also I know, but I was going to say, you could also just bring up your mom and see how they react. And if they're there while you bring it up, you could say like, hey, I really appreciate you,
Yeah.
Like,
no, unless someone's a psychopath, they're not going to blanch if you bring up your deceased parent.
Right. That's right.
But I wanted to actually ask you this. Like, let's say you do bring it up a month, 6 months, 9 months, a year later, and the person starts crying. It's not a bad thing. It's like you didn't make someone cry.
It's not a bad thing. Right.
Or is it?
No. I think what you're saying is important. It's not a bad thing that you asked about, that you're showing empathy and the person starts crying. It's not.
What if you upset them?
I know, but then you upset them, and then you can talk it out and say, hey man, sorry, I didn't mean to bring that up. If you don't want me to, I won't anymore.
Yeah.
And then you'll know, hey, I don't want you. Or they could say, look, no, I actually really do appreciate you. Because like us talking about this now, yeah, I started welling up. It's not like a bad thing to me. Like crying isn't bad. How about that? Like having emotions isn't bad. Emoting in front of your friends as a man isn't bad.
What a revelation. It's okay. By the way, instead of bottling it up and then going on a shooting spree, like, geez. But it's a good, listen, that's a good thing for guys to know. Like, if your buddy cries, it's okay.
Right. And if you quote unquote triggered it by asking about their mother who died, like you didn't do a bad thing.
Right. I mean, is there any universe when you're like, I don't know, if you were out and about doing something completely different and someone said something.
Context. Okay. You shouldn't do it in public with a lot of people around.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
I don't think you should. Because I do think it's triggering, and it is hard when you're in a social setting and suddenly you're like having grief. Right. So let's give a little best practice. I think you should do it in one-on-one.
So like if you run into your trainer 3 months from now at the bar, you would You would probably say, "How you doing? How you holding up?"
I would, but I'm just saying I wouldn't, I try
You
not
wouldn't,
to like you got to let them lead. Again, go back to like let them lead, give a
right?
leading, ish. If they
Yeah,
immediately move on, do not press.
yeah. I think ultimately it's like they just want you to know that you're there for them. Like you're there. That you're there. That's
Yeah.
it. I mean, you're not going to solve this,
Yep.
and you're not going to make them feel better,
Yep.
and they're not going to, by the way, even be able to appreciate it in the moment. It's by
Yep.
the way, it's also, Matt, you've been talking about recently, like it may be inconvenient for you, the friend who's helping. You're dropping everything. You're
Yeah.
going to them. You're flying to them. That's just the price of friendship in a good way.
Right. Friendship is it's a selfless act, and there's conflicts. And oh,
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this. You're always good with like naming these. I don't know. Should we come up with like I don't know, 90-day rule? Like, here's what I think. I think what happens is what would really help the grieving process. I was thinking about this a lot. What would really help the grieving process is if there was a second wave
Okay. Got it. So the people.
within the window where that person's still feeling like crap.
Mhm.
If
Right.
there was like a designated second wave person, like, yeah, I'm going to check in with him, in a month.
Right. You need like an SGB, a secondary grief
Right. Like,
brigade.
because when our buddy Brian, when his mom passed, I was like, all right, let me check in with him now, but also let me remember to check in with him in a month when all the calls stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I
It's a
think when you think about it, you've got 100 people. You can't even keep track of who's sending you flowers. You're so in a haze. You don't even remember who showed up. You do remember, but in the moment, it's so dizzying and you're so lost. And then a week later, everybody's gone and you're struggling, and a month later, you're still struggling and nobody's talking to you about it.
yeah. Yeah, that's a good reminder to follow up.
Second wave,
Yeah.
like first responders, second responders.
Second responder. Well, grief isn't brief.
Grief isn't brief. That's good.
Do we answer that question?
Yeah, I think it was a great question. And I think we said there is no right answer for grief. And you could be mad, but I just don't think it serves you if this person is a good friend. No, most people don't know what to do because there's no guidebook on these things.
I mean, of all the slights we have discussed in the 3.5 years of pod, this is this is one of the only ones where I'm like, let it be.
Right. Or you have a chance to repair it by going, hey, I was thinking about my mom, and just see how they react.
Yeah. I think that's good advice.
Could give them an opportunity to be a good, give them an opportunity to be a good friend.
I agree. All right, guys, that was asking for a friend. If you have a friendship question, send it to us on Instagram. It will answer it on the show. Matt, anything you want to wrap up with? Anything you want to talk about your dad? Anything you want to say?
No, man. I just told my kid this morning. I said you would have loved him. You guys would have had a good time.
What do
It's
you
like,
think? Oh, sorry.
yeah. No, sometimes. So it's funny. Julian looks. I had this weird thing. When people say they look like a relative, like my younger son looks like my dad. It's not just like that they look like them. It's like they're in there. It's a bizarre thing. I'm not like, no, he doesn't look like him. Like I can see my dad. It's kind of amazing. Like you live on through your children, and like you live on through features. Like Jess's grandma lives on through Brenner's upper lip and nose. It's bizarre. He makes an expression. I'm like, your grandma is sitting right there on the counter.
What do you think that your pop would have thought about this podcast?
I mean, he would have said like what he said when I made my first when I made that documentary film. He's like, one day you will make a real movie.
Oh, Izzy, man. That's perfect. I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, you should put that on the box.
Yeah. One day you will make a real movie.
That's great. That's great.
Anyway, I think hopefully this was helpful to anybody who's out there grieving, or anybody who has a friend who's grieving. Hopefully they gave you some ammo to step up and meet the moment. Just say something.
Yeah. And by the way, guys, if you are going through this or have a friend, just reach out to us and we will do our best to try to guide you. Okay. Thank you so much for listening. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to your friends. Love you, buddy.
Love you, buddy.